Katamari Damacy is far and away one of the strangest, most original game we've played in years. The gameplay concept, the visual style, the soundtrack, even the backstory are all conceived and executed with just so much unique enthusiasm that it's hard not to be entranced by all the weird little idiosyncrasies. It's not complex, and it's not especially challenging or long. It is, however, unapologetically surreal and a whole lot of fun. The game kicks off when the king of all cosmos gets a little crazy one night and wakes up the next morning with a headache and the realization that he has lost all of the stars. Now, the king of all cosmos, a colossal celestial being who is equal parts Hunter S. Thompson and the King of Spain, and who diligently speaks using the royal we, is a real think-outside-the-boxer. So he sends you, the prince of all cosmos, to Earth to collect enough stuff to create a whole new set of stars by rolling up anything you can find into a giant ball. You're given a Katamari, which roughly translates to clump in Japanese, and are ordered to roll it around the world collecting anything you can to increase its size. Basically, you can stick stuff to your Katamari just by rolling over it, and almost everything in the world around you is fair game. The catch is, your Katamari has to be big enough to take on all these items. Using the analog sticks exclusively, you'll roll the Katamari around like a big tank. Pushing both sticks up moves the Katamari forward, pushing them down moves it backwards, and pushing one stick up and one stick down causes it to turn. There are a few other tricks, but this is basically all you need to know in order to control it. However, controlling it well is a more nuanced thing. The shapes of the things you collect will affect the overall shape of your Katamari, thus affecting how it actually rolls. So if you roll over a bunch of pencils or a ladder or some carrots or a samurai sword or a ladle or a bottle rocket or whatever, it can be a little bit more challenging. As you progress, the scope of what you're rolling up gets bigger and bigger. The game starts you off inside a Japanese home on the living room floor, then moves you out into the yard, then into town, and it just keeps going from there. Once you complete the final level, which takes the game's steadily increasing scale to a real gratifying extreme, there are only a few formal pieces that can keep you coming back. Many of the levels contain a royal present which, if collected, can be worn by the prince. There's also a split-screen versus mode where two players can race against each other to build a bigger Katamari. Katamari Damacy has a formidable amount of replay value simply because the whole experience is just so much fun. Each level is so crammed with tiny details that you don't feel like you've seen it all just by playing through it once. Katamari Damacy is also more of a toy than a proper game. There are specific goals, but hitting these marks can almost become secondary to the goals you end up setting for yourself. As you try to roll up anything and everything into a big ball, you'll inevitably happen upon an item that you want to add to your Katamari real bad. But you just aren't big enough to do it. It immediately becomes your short-term goal to roll up whatever you can in order to get big enough so you can add that item. Now, the game really launches off into strange, uncharted territory when it comes to the presentation. There's a real cubist look going on here. It's very purposeful, the way everything has a lot of hard edges and right angles, and it provides a nice contrast to the fact that you're trying to roll it all up into a big ball. All of the environments generally feel pretty mundane and plausible, but the way items are placed creates a real dreamlike experience. For example, you can't explain why the backyard is covered in U-shaped magnets and eggs, but there's an obvious pattern to their placement, though it doesn't really matter either way. The game gives a good sense of scale, but without making your ever-increasing size too jarring. Most importantly, the game has a look that is highly specific and completely unified. It's really weird, yes, but within the context of itself, it works. Katamari Damacy features an incredible variety of really infectious music. The main theme is especially catchy, and it comes up in the game in a variety of different forms. Sometimes you'll just hear a single voice humming it, other times it will manifest in a full-bodied dance pop song, and it is key in establishing the fun, enthusiastic vibe of the game. The other major highlight is the voice at work for the king of all cosmos. His actual dialogue is all written out, though he'll vocalize everything to sound like turntable scratches, which is a very weird effect. Katamari Damacy comes to the US with a built-in market of players who appreciate things uniquely Japanese in nature, and this game most definitely qualifies as that. But unlike so much other otaku bait, Katamari Damacy is not overly esoteric, and the mechanics are simple and enjoyable enough that people of virtually all shapes and sizes should be able to pick it up and have fun in minutes. Now, Namco is selling the game in the US for $20. It's a real steal, and hopefully this low price point will encourage people to try out something a little weird and a little different.